Hi, I'm Tiffany Bowles, and this is my instructional unit plan, Teaching Mood and Tone. Um, the reason I think this is important is because students still confuse mood and tone even in 12th grade, and it really is an issue, and we really have to front load this at the beginning of the year to make sure they understand what it actually is. So tone and mood in literature. Students basically in this lesson plan are going to use Spotify to develop an understanding of mood in literature. Students will then create their own Spotify playlist based on their analysis of tone and mood from a passage of Beowulf. It is intended for a 12th grade audience, but it could be modified for any grade in middle school or high school. The subject would be English language arts. Basically, I normally have about 34 students in a class, and this lesson would take about 3 days. The learning theory basis I used was Howard Gardner's Multiple Intelligences and tying music to literature. The essential question I'm answering is basically, what is the difference between tone and mood in literature? So our guiding questions, the things that I would expect them to know at the end of the lesson: what is tone? What is mood? Is there a difference, and why? And why each is specifically important? And what each adds to our analysis when we analyze literature. So we would begin by creating a class discussion. We talk about the definitions of mood and tone. And use the key that I always tell the students. Mood is me, it's how I'm feeling. Tone is them, how the character feels, how the author feels. It applies specifically to the literature. And we would talk about several examples of that. Then they are going to listen to a pre-built playlist that is different selections of classical music, and answer specific questions on Google Forms about the listening choices. They're going to discuss how the music relates to tone, mood, and syntax of literature, and then read a passage from Beowulf and analyze the passage for tone and mood. So, after you have the class discussion, they're going to listen to the pre-made playlist. They're going to note what the music reminds them of, what type of scene it would be used for in a movie, how it makes them feel listening to it, and why. And they're going to use Google Forms to collect those answers. So I made an example Google form. It's really simplistic. You can just type in Google Forms and it'll take you there if you're logged into your Google account. All you need is a Google account, nothing special. It is free. And I'm requiring the student's name because I want to know who answered it. What is mood? So I did a multiple choice question. What is tone? I did a multiple choice question for that. And then I am going to have them do a long answer text for each song. What does the music remind you of? What type of scene? And how it makes you feel. Then they are going to discuss in partners how the music related to tone and mood and what they think syntax is. Then when we come back in a big group, that's where we really start identifying syntax and defining it for the students, because it is a very hard thing for them to grasp. But when you tie in music and you talk about the length of notes and how music relates to sentence structure in literature, it really helps them. So if a piece of music is really short and choppy, filled with short, choppy notes, it normally feels frantic. They're normally in race scenes. It's the same thing with short, choppy sentences. Edgar Allan Poe writes in very short, choppy sentences because he wants his reader to feel panicked at times. And so we relate that. And then they're going to read a passage from Beowulf and analyze the passage for tone and mood. So here's a passage. And I just selected some different words that would represent it. And they would think about those words and then go to Spotify. So this is Spotify. Most of your students will be really familiar with using it. They love Spotify playlists. That's what they're listening to most of the time. So my first song is going to be Flight of the Bumblebee. It gives that short, choppy note example. And if you click on these three little dots over here, you can add it to a playlist. You can start a new playlist. And my next song I would add would be O Fortuna. And I would add that to my playlist. And it is as simple as... So students would look at these words that develop the tone of Beowulf, and they would pick a playlist for him after they have done this. Defining his character, what type of person he is, things like that. This lesson does reach out to multiple different types of learners in different ways.